just making a rough mark out to create a plate for the harness coming through the bulkhead. I've just used masking tape and just made some marks on it to give me an idea, and I'll make a cardboard template. Okay, so what I've done is I've stuck the masking tape onto a piece of cardboard. And basically what I'm going to do is just square this up and make myself, I'm out here, so I'm going to have to come wider. This also here is not square, so I'm going to have to square that off a little bit. I can always come back to it, and then basically that's what I'm looking for. So these are my holes I'm saying I'm going to use to mount it. Again, they're a bit random, to be fair. I'll cut that out and that gives me a starting block for the template. This is the important bit for me, this bit, because that's going underneath the part of the plenum chamber, and there's a couple of holes here, so I want to use this plate to cover up those holes. So I'll cut that out and see how that fits. Okay, so that gives me a rough plate. Let's see how that fits in. That gives me a good enough start point. I'm happy with that. I'll cut a bracket for that. Okay, so I'm taking my template and I'm going to transfer that onto this aluminium sheet. This is 2mm aluminium sheet, I think it is. Yep, 2mm. That'll sit nicely with that grommet. Clearly you can see that. So what I'm going to do is transfer this. I've checked that that's square. So that line's square, so I'm going to end up cutting down that face as my start point. But I know for a fact that this isn't square because of the way I've drawn it. So what I will do is just rough lap that out. And then what I'll do is I'll square that line up. That'll be my cut line, that gives me a start point for that. Let's cut that out. Okay, so I've rough cut the plate that I'm looking for. Yeah, it's slightly bigger as I said it would be, so I can work it down. What I've done is I've squared this face to give me a starting point. So now I know that that and that are square. But when I come to this one, you can see that this one's off quite a bit. So I'll just put a line down there and tidy that face up. This gives me a nice symmetrical plate. Okay, so I've cut the bracket. Bracket's nice and square. What I've done is put a masking tape over here. So all I'm really looking to do now is centralise this over here. So I've put that pencil mark there as my centrepiece. I'm holding that up to there, like that. And I've marked it all from the back so that we know roughly what it is we've got. So basically it looks like that. So the plan is to use these two fixing holes here. I'm not going to use clinch nuts or riv nuts. I'm just going to nut and bolt it. The trouble with the riv nut is it's got like at least 1.5mm proudness on there. So we're just going to put a small bead of silicone and use 2 bolts to hold that in place, which should be fine. So I've managed to put the 2 holes in the plate for the mounting where I want it. What I've done is I've centre lined that. We now need to make a hole for this grommet. That's the same size grommet as this. And you can see it is slightly wider than the hole in the car. So I am probably going to have to modify this flange a little bit in the car. I don't see that being a big problem. But that's going to sit there. And then we've got to get the battery cable through here. So I'm going to use this grommet. This is a nice thick grommet. That's the diameter for the conduit. So the battery, the starter motor cable will sit inside a conduit just to give us super robustness coming through the bulkhead here. It's fused anyway, so I mean if there's ever a problem, it's never going to be a problem. But just for robustness, that's going to sit there, so that's how the two will come out. So I'm going to go ahead and make those holes. Okay, so there we have it. I'm kind of showing you this in reverse because I can't hold the camera while I'm putting it in place. But that's the plate. It's going to sit in with two cap head screws, possibly not those, I might get some flush ones, but that's the principle of what we're doing. Push that out. So that's the plate. And then this is the two grommets that we're going to use. This is the 30mm for the top harness, which is this grommet. And then this is the grommet for the battery cable. So need to get those in place. So I just want to show this plate. This plate's finished now. I was going to silicone it in or RTV it in, because even though technically it's dry, you are still going to get water running down here. There's still a risk of water getting in the car. So I was going to put RTV on it, but then decided if you need to get it out, that's not serviceable and you'll end up damaging the paint trying to get it out. So I've gone with a neoprene foam. I will be honest and say I don't know how long that will last. It's only about 1/2 mil, maybe 1 mil actually. I don't know how long it will last in respect to heat, but it certainly won't degrade and fall away. But it means that from a serviceability perspective, that we can get that in and out of there. And then I'll show you what that looks like inside. So it sits nicely on the outside, and then internally that sits like that. So I need to install that onto the harness now because it becomes part of the harness.